Good morning, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order. And as directed by Manitoba Health, we're requesting people avoid close contact with anyone showing symptoms of a respiratory illness such as coughing or sneezing. If you are experiencing flu-like symptoms, we are requesting that you excuse yourself from the room. And I would like to begin this meeting by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Carrie Linklater. I'm your chairperson today, and I'm joined on the panel to my immediate left, Mr. Brent McIntyre, and my far left, Mr. Robert Buss. Our city assessor today is Arca, and our city secretary today is Belen Rojo. We will begin hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparison of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it and the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. And as information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We'd like to swear everybody in.
Please state your name. Please state your full name.
Marcelo Navarro.
What firm the AM NCR about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Marcello.
Good morning.
So we're hearing business assessments this morning, and I believe we're going to start off with 3755 Portage Avenue.
Before I start, because this particular docket is a leftover from the previous hearing, some evidence have been submitted prior. Have there been any updates to the evidence submitted on July 8th by the applicant?
I would say not.
I don't believe so. I don't have any records on mine.
The reason why I ask is so if I could, I know there is a electronic version of the evidence, but
Yes.
I could also realize that the paper copy here is the identical copy of that. That's all I have. Thank you very much. With that, file number 195430, address 3755 Portage Avenue, business assessment ID 29032, owners Red River Cooperative Limited. This particular subject property is a gas station with a car wash with 2 premises. Premise ID 24426 with area 2,140 square feet and base ARV of $32.77. And premise 30900 with area 935 square feet and base area RV of $9.56, which is a car wash, and the previous premise was a gas station kiosk. Total annual rental value with occupancy cost for both premises, $86,280. Premises owner occupied. On page 2 is a list of comparable City of Winnipeg users for the gas stations and car washes. The closest ones based on size of the kiosk area are comparable number 1 at 2,250 square feet with net rent of $40.25, and comparable number 12, 1376 Regent at 2,042 square feet with a kiosk rent of $42.92. On page 3, we have aerial view and the street view of subject property. Last page provides a decision of the Board of Revision for the subject property at the realty hearing. I ask the board to confirm the annual rental value of $86,280. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Navarro?
Yes. In terms of the rents that you're showing there, these are pad site rents?
That is correct.
Okay. So they're not actually rents for the lease of a retail space, correct?
They are pad site rents.
Okay. Okay. And you are assigning a rent only for the convenience store?
In this case, we have convenience store and the car wash.
Okay, I'm not disputing the car wash, but in terms of the convenience store, it is strictly a rent for the convenience store, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, the rent that you're giving me is a pad rent, right? Does that represent the land rent?
Are you referring to the rent of the subject property?
Yes.
Okay. The rate of $32.77 for a store for the kiosk is a rate per square foot. That is not a land rate, but it is a rate per square foot that is calculated by the model.
Okay. And is there any adjustments for the pumped tanks and canopies?
Again, we are looking at rent per square foot of $32.77. That does not include pump tank and canopies. Pump tank and canopies are not included in the rent of the realty rent calculation either. They are added as an additional cost.
Okay. So effectively what you're trying to give me is, or the model is trying to give is a rent for the rental of the retail space.
We are calculating a area of the improvement and of the kiosk at $32.77 with the gas station reference as a SKP.
Okay.
Kiosk for the gas station.
Okay, those are my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Voss, any questions of the assessor?
Thank you. I have no questions.
No question. Okay, do you know the year this was built? I don't see it anywhere on here.
No, I don't have it. No, I don't have the information with me right now to answer the question.
Navarro, if you'd like to proceed.
Okay. Again, this is 3755 Portage Avenue. This is a Red River Co-op. 3,075 square feet is the plan area. The land area is 26,553. The current annual rental value is 86,280. We are requesting an annual rental value of 67,500. If you turn to page 4 of my brief, you can see some visual information about the property. Again, it is on the corner of Isbister and Portage Avenue, and Stewart and Portage Avenue. In terms of when the convenience store was built, there's your answer. It was built in 1977 with a gross area of 2140 square feet and an attached 935 square foot touchless car wash with a 16-foot wall height added in 1998. Current zoning on the property is C2. Again, the city has a premise area of 3075 square feet. There is an adjustment of $443,000 for pumps, tanks, and canopy. However, this is not accessible for business assessment purposes. We've used a market rent approach. If you turn to page 6, the assessor has applied a base rent of $25.71 per square foot overall for the 2020 ARV. The subject property has an applied April 1, 2018 market rent of $25.71 per square foot, 3,075 square feet. We have some rental comparables here. We have an average rent of $17.81. The above comparables have an average of $17.81 per square foot and a median of $17.50 per square foot. Index 1, 2, 9, 15, and 19 are all vehicle related. The balance are retail rents. Based on the above and considering the age of the subject property, an April 1, 2018 market rent for the subject retail is estimated at no more than $24 per square foot or $51,360. On page 7, you can see the occupancy costs that we also apply. And on page 8, you'll see the entire workup. So we have a net rent of $6,301, additional occupancy costs, and $67,517 or $67,500 rounded. That is my presentation. Just to interject here, I'm having a lot of trouble hearing. So if you could possibly speak up, that would be appreciated.
So on page 5 of your report, under premise area, you stated that there is $443,000 for the pump tanks and canopies, and you are aware that pump tanks and canopies are not included in the net rent calculations for the realty as well as the business assessment. Are you aware of that?
Actually, I put it in there, I believe. It says on page 5 is not accessible for business assessment purposes.
But are you aware that they are not pump tanks and canopies are not included in the calculations of realty net rent?
Okay. Yeah, and just to be clear, I am being specific about the business assessment only in this brief.
Okay. So the comparables you are using on page 6. What kind of comparables are they gas stations, or are they also different types of other retail stores?
Yeah. So if you look at page 6, on the top paragraph, the third line, the subject property was owner occupied and the following gas bar kiosk rental rates were considered.
Okay. So they are gas bar and rental gas bars, correct?
That's right.
Those are those pad side rents, or are they net rented for those gas bars?
Well, you also would know this, that most gas station leases are pad site leases. So they would be comparable to what you're offering in terms of the lease rates also.
So how is the net rent calculated on your presentation?
So we've already done the net rent calculation in terms of what you presented here. We are considering only the retail area. So we are effectively doing a rent for the retail area, not for any other spaces.
Okay, but based on what value?
Well, again, we would have looked at the pad site lease also. So it's based on this, it's the same methodology that you're using. It's just that we're using different comparables.
Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Buss?
The comparables 1, 2, 9, 15, and 19, you're saying they are vehicle service related?
Yes.
So are they similar to the subject in that they have big canopies and convenience store type thing?
In terms of their comparability, I would say that they're probably as comparable to the properties. For example, let's look at 3331 Portage Avenue.
Yes. Okay.
Which is number 9, I believe.
Number 15.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about number 15?
Okay.
My question is, what about number 15? What can you tell us about number 15?
Okay, number 15, actually, I'm going to have to revise what I said here. These are not all gas kiosks. These are, some of these are vehicle service related. So number 15 is a service center, auto vehicle service center. So it has several different types of auto vehicle shops in here. So service centers, transmission shops. So we're looking at one of those vehicle service related uses in there. So it's basically a vehicle service complex there.
You sell gasoline at number 15?
Yeah, without gasoline.
Do any of the 1, 2, 9, 15, or 19 have gasoline pumps?
So one is also 3331. That is, again, that is another retail use, auto vehicle related. Number 2 is 3081. I believe this is also a repair shop, show auto related, no gas. Number 2.
Okay,
But it's outlining the ones that are not gas related. So if you see in the bottom, it says index 1, 2, 9, 15, and 19 are all vehicle service related. The balance are retail rents.
but 4 of those are the same property, 33, 31.
Yes, they are. It is an auto service complex.
Do they sell gas at number 2, 3081?
No.
Thank you. That's all my questions.
Just have one question. Are any of these premises a convenience store, a standalone convenience store?
I believe there are. I would say that these are actually a mixture of retail and auto use, basically retail and auto use. So they're not actually, I apologize for what I said. They are actually a mixture of retail and auto use locations.
And none of them are convenience stores?
There probably would be some convenience stores. I just haven't identified them.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Navarro, I just have one question. Is your request, the 67,500, is that reflective of the real estate change back in January? The realty?
Sure.
Is that reflective of the realty order that took place in January?
Actually, it likely is. Yes, I actually would have likely followed this this methodology. Let me just check.
Hi, sorry to bother you guys. I'm just cleaning the top window, so I'm gonna have a ladder in front of the door for like 5 minutes. Okay, thank you.
I believe the gross potential rent that we had, and this is again, we had 1781. Oh, 51,360. No, it is actually, I believe, lower. Or sorry, I believe ours is actually higher. The The rent that we have here is $51,360 for the retail.
Okay, that's your answer?
Yeah, we're actually higher in the business assessment.
Okay. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Yeah.
Trust? No? Okay. I'm assuming that if either of you want to do a summation, you will jump in. How's that? We're going to move on to 1625 Ness Avenue.
Will it be possible to do a summation?
Absolutely.
Will it be possible to summarize the?
Oh, did you want to do a summation on the
Yes.
last one?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Proceed, Arca.
In summary, for the property at 3755 Portage Avenue, I would like to point out that it would appear that evidence presented by the applicant does not represent a single gas station kiosk. However, represents unrelated properties such as vehicle repair garages and some other properties, but it doesn't appear that it presents a single gas station kiosk as stated on the evidence. I would ask the panel to consider that and when the panel makes a decision. And again, in summary, page 2 of my report summarizes comparable property of the gas stations with the subject property, which is also a gas station. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Mr. Navarro, do you have anything to say in summary?
Yes, in summary, I would say that in terms of isolating the component that we're trying to value, we know that, for example, that pumps, canopies are not included in this. So we are simply putting a value on a retail space. This argument has been put forward by Altus Group. It has been accepted in many situations. We believe that comparable retail rents are indicative of what retail rents in a location like this would go for. Most retail components, for example, like convenience stores, retail areas, are purposely fronted in areas of high traffic. So we don't see the argument that the assessor is making as valid. Again, we think of the store component as simply a retail space. That's my summary.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just have one question. Marcello, you submitted a rebuttal brief.
Yeah.
Are you speaking to that, or?
Yes, I can actually speak to it now. So the if you open up the rebuttal, and we have the assessor's evidence here on what is termed as page 6. So that would be the third page in the package. And those are the rents that you're seeing. However, most of these rents are basically long-term pad leases. And if you go further into these, you'll start to see that many of these pad leases have actually been adjusted, we think, by the model and not according to what the assessor is saying. For example, at the bottom, near the bottom of the presentation, you'll see, in fact, you can turn to the very last page. You can see some of these pad site comparables. And you'll notice small differences in terms of the calculation of some of these. VCWs, SKPs. Basically, what we're saying is that some of these have been, some of these rents have changed. And again, I don't know the reason for that. Maybe the assessor might be able to answer that. That is basically it.
Okay, thank you.
So I have actually scrolled down
Yes.
when Marcelo was speaking to them. Just want to point out in a rebuttal that when yes, the pad site leases are used to calculate value per square foot for the subject properties where gas stations come into play. There's simply, that's a nature of the gas station operations. There is no net lease available for the gas stations, to my knowledge. And when we assign a value for the gas stations, we have to, and when we provide a fair assessment for the gas station, we have to compare similar properties. So that's where City of Winnipeg assessment that side leases of the gas stations and compares it with another gas station. It's just simply not fair to compare a gas station operation with a retail store of any other sort that is not a gas station. There are different types of businesses, and that is why City of Winnipeg looks into comparing similar properties and assigning value in a fair way to similar properties. Thank you very much.
Shabazz, do you have questions about it?
I have no questions.
And I have no questions. Okay, move on to 16.6. Yes, Avenue.
Okay. So subject property file number 195521, street address 1626 Ness Avenue, business assessment ID 43664, business name is Safeway Gas Bar, owner Sobeys Atlantic Fuel Company. It's a 450 square feet premise at base ARV of $164.97. Total annual rental value with occupancy cost $75,360. I would there is a recommendation. I would like the board to I would like to withdraw the recommendation because it was placed there in error. Subject 4 comparable number 4 is not a subject property. Comparable number 4 on page 2 refers to a neighboring property at 1619 Ness Avenue. That is why I asked the board to, I would like to withdraw the proposed recommendation as it inaccurately represents a assessed value. So again, we look at comparables by City of Winnipeg on page 2, and actually comparable number 8 is a subject property. Okay, and so yeah, comparable number 8 is a subject property. Its value there per SKP is $92.59. It's a 2008 lease, which is 12-year-old. Then comparable number, page number 3 is a street view of the subject property. And last page is Board of Revision order for the realty side. Thank you very much.
Mr. Navarro, any questions?
Yes. And just going by your net leases on your on the SKP, you're ranging quite a bit here, aren't you? You're going all the way from $40.25 to $160.71 or $188.57. That's quite a bit of range. And in fact, many of these are actually lower than what you're suggesting, correct?
Okay, I guess yes, there is a range. And what do you mean by lower?
Well, for example, comp 3, 540 square feet. That's $90.74. Right above it, you have 500 square feet at $188.57. Below, you have 364 square feet, and that's comp number 9 at $151, and 580 square feet at $137.06. So I guess what I'm saying is you're basically at the upper end, are you not?
Okay, so yeah, there is a range for those for them obviously, and subject property does appear. Model calculates the subject property at the higher end of at the upper end of the comparables.
Okay, and for the most part, most of these are built within the last 20 years or so. There are some that fall below in the 1990s. There's one that was built in 1988. You have some older ones here, but based on the age of the property, which was built in 2009, is that the reason why you're choosing a higher rate?
Well, age of the property does affect the rent in the model calculation. So most likely that would be one of the factors that would assign the rate per square foot higher than, let's say, for example, we have a 1997 comparable number 3 at $90 versus a subject property which is 2009.
Right. And then here you have in your comparables 1626 Ness, comp number 8.
Yes.
Okay, and you have a rent there of $92.59.
Correct.
Okay. So basically this is the model predicting above and beyond that, correct?
Well, the model looks into the lease start dates as well as other.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Bass, questions?
Are any of the comparables, or all of them, gas stations like the subject property is?
All of the 14 comparable, actually, first 12 comparables as a gas stations. Comparable 13 and 14 are strictly car washes, and the first 12 comparables are gas stations or mix of gas stations and the car wash. Comparable 12 is a mix of gas station and the car wash. Comparable 5 is a mix of gas station and the car wash, and comparable 1 is a mix of car wash and the gas station.
Thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you.
I have no questions.
Thank you. And I have no questions.
I'll just proceed here. If you look at page 2, you can see the picture of this property. This is a Shell gas station on Ness Avenue near Safeway, I believe. It is built in 1987. The gas kiosk was built in 2009 at 450 square feet of leasable area. On page 6, you can see the comparables that I've chosen. So I've looked at the assessor's comps also. We've taken a rent of $125 per square foot for the gas kiosk. And if you recall in the previous one, we used a retail larger building. This is a 450 square foot building. So this is effectively a kiosk. So we've assigned a rent of $125 per square foot. If you look at page 8, including occupancy costs, the total ARV is $57,353, rounded to $57,300. That is my report.
Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
The comparables that you've submitted, like my same question, are any of these gas stations? You went over them kind of quick.
So these are actually the same comps that the assessor is using.
Okay.
So these are a mix of car washes at the bottom and gas stations with car washes.
And you're showing the subject property is comp number 8.
Yeah.
9259.
Right.
And what are you asking that we set the?
125 per square foot.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Yeah.
I have no questions.
Just one question, Mr. Navarro, is again, is your request reflecting the realty decision?
I'm not sure. I'm just going to answer it as I'm not sure. I didn't look at the realty decisions. So there may be a case for it, but I haven't made that case. I'm simply going by the analysis that I did strictly for these business assessment appeals. So there may be a case for that.
I see again, you've got a rebuttal here. Are you going to rebuttal?
I believe it's the same thing. So we've basically covered it for the one appeal. Same arguments exist, so I don't see a need to go over it again.
Gentlemen, do you have any wish for a summation?
I don't have any. I guess I don't need to summarize this one.
Yes. What I would say is that we're there in terms of whether we are being reasonable in this. You looked at the subject rent. It is an older rent, going back to 2008. However, these tend to be long-term leases, these pad leases. So the fact that we're adjusting it to $125 per square foot, I think we are being fair in that sense.
Okay. I think we're just going to take a 5-minute break right now. Thank you. And I would like to call this hearing back to order, and we are now going to proceed to 999 Aaron Street. And Arca, whenever you are ready.
File number 195641. Address 999 Erin Street. Business Assessment ID 19921, owners T4 Auto and Body Limited. Subject property is VSG, which is a vehicle service garage, and premise area 5,400 square feet, base ARV $7.31 per square foot. Annual rental value, including occupancy cost, $50,880. On page 2, we have 33 comparables that are vehicle service related, with average rent, net rent per square foot of $13.95 and median of $12.50. Subject property is 5,400 square feet, and with that, we have properties similar in age, like older properties, let's say comparable number 15, which is 1972 year build at $11.99 per square foot. Comparable number 16, 614 Dudley is even older, 1953 at $7.63 per square foot. So overall, subject property rent at $7.31. That's the low end of the comparables, below the average, and therefore it has very well supported in that respect. Comparable number 3 provides pictures, aerial view of subject property and the street view of the subject property. And the last page has a copy of the Board of Revision order for the realty appeal of the subject property. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Navarro?
Can you tell me whether any of these are single tenants or multiple tenancies? From your comps list?
Give 1 second. Unfortunately, I do not have the information specifically to answer your question whether they are those properties are single tenant or multi-tenant.
Okay. Those are my questions.
Thank you. And Mr. Voss?
I have no questions.
I have no questions.
I just have one question. Arthur, do you know the year of this property? Just looking at a photo, it looks.
It is have the information with me, but it is, I would tell that it is older, probably 1950s.
Mr. Navarro?
Yeah. If you go to page 2 of the brief, you can see a picture of the location. Again, this was built in 1974, so it It is an older industrial property at this point. If you look at page 4, you can see an overhead picture. Premise area is 5,400 square feet. On page 6, you can see our rent comparables. So these would be similar vehicle use. We've come up with an average of $745 and $748. I've adjusted the rent to $6.50 per square foot. According to the realty decision that was made, the board accepted a rent of $6.94 per square foot on that decision. If you calculate the occupancy costs on page 8, we're asking for an annual rental value of $46,440 rounded. That is based on base rent of $6.50 plus occupancy costs. That was my presentation.
Thank you. Do you have any questions, Arthur?
I noticed that the comparables you are using, for the most part, they are significantly larger than subject property. Would you say that the size affects rent per square foot based on economy of scale? When the larger property is a lesser price per square foot, would you agree with me on that?
I would agree that there's several factors. That is one of them. I would say that $5,400 is quite small in this area. For example, we have one on Oak Point there that is 77,531 square feet, somewhat closer to the subject, and that is $5.08 per square foot. So ours is obviously smaller, but you can see where an adjustment is made also. You'll also note that this is a small facility, it's older. So we've adjusted the rent.
But you only have one property that is comparable number 1, which is still larger than subject. And it's older and its location is a bit farther away. Would that affect the rent?
I would say that Aaron Street is probably not a typical place for a vehicle car use. I mean, I'm not too familiar with this area, but I mean, vehicle car uses, for example, in the northwest quadrant along Oak Point. So that's a common area. There's an area on Pembina Highway. So I would say that you know, it would require an adjustment upward, but I think we've made that adjustment.
Well, I guess I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Mr. Boss?
No, I have no questions, thanks.
I have no questions.
Mr. Navarro, I just have one question in regards to your page 6 on your brief. I think you had stated that you thought your first comparable at Oak Point was your best in terms of size. Is that also an auto body repair?
Yes, these are all auto use.
They're all auto, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's my.
Yeah.
Do either of you have a wish for donation on this property?
Well, to summarize quickly, City of Winnipeg provided 33 comparables. There's a lot more to choose from when arriving at price per square foot when you look at the size of the subject property and comparing it to the similar size comparable. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're good, Mr. Navarro?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to 747 Pembina Highway.
File number 195427, address 747 Pembina Highway, business assessment ID 51330, owners Red River Co-op, business name Red River Co-op, owners Red River Cooperative Limited. Premise consists of 1,760 square feet at base ARV of $38.44. Combined with occupancy cost, total annual rental value $71,940. Subject property is a gas station kiosk, and I asked the panel to maintain 2020 annual rental value at $71,940. Page 2 provides exactly same comparables we have discussed previously. Gas station, pad side leases for gas station that City of Winnipeg uses to as a comparables for gas stations. So with that, kiosks at again we have larger kiosks here at slightly smaller is comparable number 6 at 1336 square feet. And the next step up would be comparable number 12 at $2,042 square feet and $42.92 a square foot. And comparable number 1 is 2,250 square feet at $40.25 per square foot. Subject property again is 1,760 square feet. With a price of $38.44, it falls in line with the comparables provided here. Slightly higher than comparable number 6 and lower than comparable number 1 and comparable number 12. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Navarro?
I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Bass?
What year was this property built?
Within my presentation, I do not have the information as to age of the subject property.
That's all my questions. Thank you.
I have no questions, thank you.
And I have no questions regarding this. Mr. Navarro?
Yeah. 747 Pembina Highway. You can see a picture of it on page 2. This is on the corner of Taylor and Pembina Highway. The premise area is 1,760 square feet. On page 6, you can see some of the comparables. Some of the street numbers are not on these, but the first one is actually 2544 Main Street. It is an Esso gas station on the corner of Red River Boulevard and Main Street. Number 2 is 1425 McPhillips Street. That is Petro-Canada gas station in Northgate Shopping Center. And number 3 is 949 Henderson Highway. That is a Domo gas kiosk. The other 2 on Regent and Lakewood, I don't have the numbers for them, but I believe that these were all gas kiosks. Obviously, the first 3 are the most pertinent ones. The highest one being $25.20 per square foot. That is for 1,000 square feet. This one is slightly larger. We've asked for $25 per square foot as the base rent for this, plus occupancy costs. We're asking for a an annual rental value of 47,700 rounded. That's my presentation.
Thank you. Questions, Arthur?
Actually, no, I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Buss?
Yes, my question is about the age of the property. You're saying it was in 2004 it was constructed?
It says here on page 4, yes, the wood frame structure is recorded as originally constructed in 2004.
Because on page 2, you're saying that original 1958 and effective 1979.
So that is taken out of the realty. So that actually pertains to the site in general, not to the kiosk. The kiosk itself was built in 2004. I believe I actually checked the permits on that also, and it came out at 2004.
Okay. And your comparables, are they gas stations with kiosks as well?
I believe all of these are gas stations. I don't have the numbers for the last 3, the Regent, Lakewood, and Lakewood. However, the first 3 are 2544 Main Street. As I said, that is an Esso gas station with a kiosk pumps on the corner of Red River Boulevard and Main Street. If you're familiar with North Main Street, there's a Sobeys complex there in that area. Across the street, there's a corner on the corner of, again, Red River and Main Street. There is an Esso gas station there. If you're familiar with Northgate Shopping Center, there is an Esso or a Petro-Canada gas station there that's been there for quite a long time. And 949 Henderson would just be a small kiosk. This is a Domo gas station.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all my questions.
Yeah.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
On page 7, you have not included any occupancy costs for air conditioning, even though this is a convenience store?
My mistake. I would have to adjust for the air conditioning then. Yes. I'm just going to do a quick calculation here. So we're adding $598. So the ARV is 48,312.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Navarro, on page 6 of your brief, in regards to your comparisons, none of them then are Red River Co-op, correct?
No. No. No.
And also, it looks like you have rebuttal evidence again on this.
I would say that, again, it's the same rebuttal evidence from the first one. So I don't think we need to go over it again.
Okay, thank you. Did either of you wish for a summation on this?
I don't.
You don't?
No.
You're fine? Okay. Thank you. We're going to move on to 618 Lorette Avenue.
File number 195321. Address 618 Lorette Avenue, Business Assessment ID 22212. Business name J-Max Auto Body. Owners Joel M. Simchuk. Premise is a vehicle service garage with area of 5,794 square feet. Base ARV per square foot is $9.95. With occupancy cost, total annual rental value is $69,900. Premise is owner occupied. On page two we have comparables of vehicle service related garages. There are 33 comparables with average rent per square foot of $13.95 and median of $12.50. Again, and on the last page, the last page provides aerial and the street view of subject property. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Val, any questions?
Yeah. From your comparables list, do you have an idea of which ones you consider the best comparables?
Well, again, when we look at it, we got to consider that similar utilities or size is one of the factors. So the subject property is roughly 5,800 square feet, and we would look at comparables that are close to it. So comparable number 4 is for 2479 Pembina, 5,600 square feet, $10.71 per square foot. Comparable 1340 Pembina at $16.04 per square foot. Comparable number 8, 999 William, 6,211 square feet, $10.63 per square foot. So those would be the best comparables when you look at the, when you try to match the size for it.
Okay. And in terms of the comparables that you've used, are you using any chains in this? So national or international chains?
Within the list, there are some.
Okay. Okay. So you've made no distinction between a standalone vehicle service related operation versus a national or international chain? You basically lumped them all together, correct?
Yes. So within this mix, we have, small business owner occupied. Small business garages that is run by, a smaller venture, and then you would have also larger chains as well.
Okay. Now, on your page 3, you've identified the property with your pictures here. Are you familiar with this property?
Could you please elaborate as far as familiarity? It's a vehicle service garage.
Have you been inside it?
I have not.
Okay. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Buss, questions?
Yes, on page 4, excuse me, the upper picture, which building is the subject?
Okay, so kind of in the middle where it says 618.
Yeah, I can't see the numbers very well on my picture. Which is 618?
Okay, so it would be the middle. No, it would be the middle one. From the left, it's going to be one over where the cars parked in front of it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
I have no questions.
Just one quick question. And I'm sorry, Arthur, you may have asked your comparable. On page 2, these are all auto body.
They are, some are auto body, some are tire shops, some are mechanic shops, but they are all lumped as a vehicle service garage.
Thank you. That's all my questions. Mr. Navarro, if you'd like to proceed.
Okay. 618 Lorette Avenue. You can see the picture on page 3. This is a very basic building. It has a small office area, very small office area. It's used for some auto body work. It's not a paint shop. It has overhead heat. I've been inside this property twice. I'm handling the municipal board of appeals on the property just beside it, but these properties are actually joined together. There is an opening on the side there that connects this property to the rest of the complex. However, this part of the property itself is slightly older. It's a very basic building, just your basic steel frame building. There's not much to it. In terms of its rental abilities, again, we're talking about a very simple building. There's not much complexity to it. We've chosen a rent of $8.25 to it. Our comparables are on page 7. And our workup is on page 9. Again, we're asking for an ARV of 60,026 or 60,000 rented. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you. Arthur, question?
Okay, yeah. So, Mr. Navarro, page 7 of your report. Again, we've been similar type of question as I asked for a previous vehicle service garage we had to deal with. Your comparables here are smaller than subject property. Sorry, your comparables here are larger than subject property. Subject property is smaller in terms of square footage. Would that affect the rent per square foot based on economies of scale?
It's one of the factors, along with location, condition, age, amenities inside the building. So in terms of the rent, I mean, I'm taking that into account. I'm also discounting, or I'm disregarding properties that have, for example, national chains on them because I don't think they're proper. They're not, this is not fronting a major street. If you look at the location on page 5, you can see the overhead picture. This is not fronting Pembina Highway. And when I go through your list of comparables, granted you've adjusted some of these in terms of the square footage that you're providing close, but you're also providing, again, properties that have, in a lot of cases, international, national chains. They're fronting major streets. And that, I think, is the difference. If you look at this picture on page 5 of my brief, you can see the CN tracks right beside it. So this property is set way in the back. It has no exposure. It is right beside the railroad tracks. So I don't see how many of your comparables are actually relevant.
Okay, so
So to answer your question, yes, economies of scale would apply. There would have to be some adjustment for that. But there would have to be some adjustments for all those other details also. And I think in this situation, the other details are just as important because again, if you go through your list, these are all fronting major streets for the most part. And this one is set aside. It is snuck in, in the corner of nowhere right beside the CN tracks. I mean, really, nobody would see this thing. It has no exposure whatsoever to a main street. So I think that's why I've gone with a slightly lower rent than what the city has projected.
then again, the comparable, when we look at the location, your comparables are further tucked away. Subject property, we would see it's similar red, but still it is within very close proximity to Pembina Highway.
Have you ever seen this property when you've gone by Pembina? I'm pretty sure you would have missed it.
However, as far as location-wise, it is within close proximity to the Pembina Highway. Would you agree with me to that?
No, I would not. It is off of Pembina, but I think what you're trying to say is that it has the same exposure as Pembina, which it does not.
No, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
I have no questions. And I have no questions.
I just have one question, Mr. Navarro, just
Yeah.
previous property. You indicated that there's a small office in this building?
Yes, so if you turn to page 3, you'll see the big overhead door opening there. And just to the left of it, you'll see a door, okay? And, okay, I would call it an office. It's actually an office within an old, industrial building. So it's, again, it has a desk in it, it has a phone on it. But I mean, it's pretty much open to the rest of the building. So if you call it an office, it's an office area, I would say.
Okay, so I just want to clarify then that there's no air conditioning.
In this building?
Well, in that office space, which is open, you're stating. So I'm assuming, because you have no air conditioning.
No. In this case, the building is, there is some ventilation to exhaust some gases, but there is no air conditioning. This, as you can see, it's open.
Okay, thank you. Gentlemen, any wish for a summation on this property? No? Mr. Navarro?
No.
Okay. We will move on to our last property at 19 Stapleton Avenue.
File number 195280, 19 Stapleton Street. Business assessment ID 26634. Business name Ming Auto Beauty Center. Owners Roran Limited. Premise consists of 3,960 square feet. with base ARV of $9.54. Total annual rental value with occupancy cost $46,140. Then we have information here that it is not owner occupied, and the subject use information states that 3,900 square feet is rented at $7.38. However, to the best of my recollection, there is it is not a true arm length lease. It's not a true. It's related companies are leasing the property. So I would like the board to consider that. So as a recommendation, I ask the board to maintain the assessment at $46,140. Again, we are using same vehicle service garage comparables as have been reported before. Same 33 comparables with the average $13.95 per square foot, median of $12.50 per square foot. Page 3 provides aerial and street view of subject property. And the last page provides a Board of Revision order where the decision is based on net operating income presented by the Assessment and Taxation Department and the cap rate of 7%. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, questions?
Yes. Do you have an idea of which of your comparables from your comp list is probably the best comparable for this property?
Again, the same answer would be is to look at the size and try to match it up to the best, and then to get to the similar utility and capability of the improvement. So comparable number 11 would be a close one. Comparable number 13. Comparable, I guess, 18 is somewhat close as well. So yeah, when to look at it, size and to match the utility.
Are you familiar with the location on Stapleton?
Well, it's off Regent, just in the I guess just south of Regent.
So it's it doesn't have any access from Panet Road. The only road that you can actually access it is Narren. Is that correct?
Excuse me?
The only way that you can access Stapleton is through Narren.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I meant Narren, sorry.
Okay. So it's clearly not fronting a major street, correct?
Oh, it's in the back of it.
Okay. And do you know what's beside it?
Beside it, in
Like the surrounding area. What is the surrounding area like?
well, it backs into a PV Mart store. There is all sorts of buildings that are used for mechanical or other storage-related, construction-related facilities.
So would you say in general that properties that are fronting major streets, and I'm going by your comparables, and I would add my comparables in this too in terms of the question. But do you think that comparables that are on major streets or fronting major streets would probably attain a higher rent in the marketplace?
Typically, that would be the proper pattern. Properties that face a major street would reflect higher rent than the ones that farther back.
Okay. Those are my questions.
No questions. Thank you. I have no questions. Thank you.
Again, the reports I have, actually, I do have a report here that might provide an age. So we have 1969.
Mr. Navarro, if you'd like to go through the brief.
Okay, if you turn to page 2, you can see a picture of the property. On page 4, you'll see an overhead of its location. So it's, if you're familiar with the Mission area of St. Boniface, Mission Street, you'll notice that this property is located just adjacent to it. I believe the property just south of it, not the property right beside it, but just south there is a what appears to be an old junkyard. So its location is slightly off from Narran Avenue, so in no way does this have any frontage, close to a main artery. I mean, this is off of Narran. So I've chosen the same comparables as the assessor has chosen the same comparables for these properties. I've gone with an $8 per square foot rent overall. Again, many factors, and the assessor will bring this up. Economies of scale. Yes, economies of scale does exist. There are other factors too, whether the property fronts a major street, its location, its condition, age, what's around it. Those are all factors in why I adjust the rent. So in terms of the rent, again, I've gone with $8. You can see the workup on page 8. There should be an air conditioning charge there, actually. I've gone with 40,036 for an ARV, but if you just hold on for a second. There should be an additional 1346 in there for the air conditioning. So plus 46. That would make the ARV 41,382. We rounded to 41,300. That is my presentation.
Thank you. Parker, questions?
No, it was already brought forth. I don't have any new questions in regards to the comparables. They are the same as before.
Yes. How far off Narran? Is that the first block off Narran?
See if I can get you. I don't know if you have access to maps, but it is off of Narran. So we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is the 5th property before it turns into Thomas Avenue. So I would say, I mean, in terms of distance, I would say probably, I don't know, 200-300 meters.
Okay, thank you. And That lease that the assessor's showing at $7 and something, you agree that that's not arm's length? You're not
Yeah, yeah, I didn't consider it.
Okay. That's all my questions.
I just have one question. The assessor indicated the age of the building to be 1969. And on your brief, you're showing it as 2008.
Yeah, I don't know what the difference is because again, this section here is taken from the realty. So I don't know if that refers to the site in general. However, if you look at page 4, I have the same comment as the building was constructed in 1969. And that is in the second paragraph under premise description.
Oh, right. So then the first page of your brief is not correct.
Yeah, I don't think it is, no.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
Just a quick question, Mr. Navarro. Did you have a chance to inspect this property at all?
I have not inspected the property, but I have driven past this property many times, just because I've been doing a lot of work in this area. So I did do a drive-by of it.
Any questions? Do either of you have a wish for a summation?
I don't.
Okay. Thank you both for your time this morning, and this hearing is adjourned.
Thank you.